I'm Barry Haarde, and I live in Houston, Texas, and I'm part of the Blood Brotherhood initiative there. And I am a 3H club member, which, for those who may not know, is hemophilia, HIV, and hepatitis C. Well, I was born in 1965 and diagnosed at birth with severe hemophilia A. My brother, who was 13 years my senior, was also diagnosed at birth. And at that time, we did not yet have clotting factor concentrates. And we relied initially on blood plasma, and then later cryo was introduced. And when I was about 7 years old, I started using the factor concentrates, which of course revolutionized our lives, cut the umbilical cord to the emergency room, allowed us to infuse from home. We learned to self-infuse. I was 12 years old, I think, when I learned to inject myself. And it gave us a whole new way of life. And unfortunately, our new miracle drug also gave us something else along the way, which was HIV and hepatitis C, which has taken a terrible toll on our community. There are still a few of us around and doing pretty well, but you go to events and from year to year there are fewer and fewer guys coming. I was still a teenager when I was diagnosed HIV positive in 1985. And I learned about HIV and AIDS pretty much from the evening news. We would hear stories about this new disease that nobody knew anything about or how to treat. And at first they talked about gay men. Later it became intravenous drug users, and then they started talking about hemophiliacs. And we got pretty scared. Like many guys, when HIV hit in the early 1980s, many of us went rapidly into the closet and did not come out, in my case, pretty much for about 25 years. I had a few close friends along the way that I was able to confide in, but for the most part, I kept it all to myself, including my hemophilia, because there was an association in those days between hemophiliacs and HIV. And there were a few brave souls who came out and led the way for us, many of whom are no longer with us. We began seeing things on television, on the evening news, about Ryan White, who had a bullet fired through his window, was driven from their town because of fear, discrimination, prejudice that was exhibited by his neighbors.
We often speak about AIDS as if it's going on somewhere else, and for good reason. This is a virus that has touched lives and decimated communities around the world. A number of events and advances over the years have broadened our understanding of this cruel illness. One of them came in 1984, when a 13-year-old boy from central Indiana contracted HIV/AIDS from a transfusion. Doctors assured people that Ryan White posed no risk to his classmates or his community, but ignorance was still widespread.
There was a family in Florida, the Ray family, whose 3 hemophiliac sons, 2 of whom later died. Their home was burned down, and they were forced to move their neighborhood and flee their school. And I think when a lot of the guys like me saw that, personally, I just said, no way I'm telling anybody about this. Both my brother-in-law, who passed away in 1990 from AIDS, and my brother, who died from liver cirrhosis from hepatitis C in '07, both lived very quietly. When my brother-in-law passed away, AIDS was never mentioned at his funeral. You just didn't talk about it then. And my brother had been able to confide in some close friends about his hepatitis C and his hemophilia, but very few people knew why he died. And I hope that both of them are looking down, and it's perhaps a debt that I owe to them and to the many others who have passed, that that I can, sorry. I hope to be able to honor their memories by getting more engaged and involved in the community. And I plan to devote a very good part of the rest of my life to that.